And what needs to improve in order to make it reusable? Like what's wrong with it right now?
On the ship side, the toughest problem is the heat shield.
Good morning and welcome to what should be the day of Starship Flight 8. I recorded this the night before because I wanted to give you a summary of what we're looking for with this 8th flight of Starship, as well as talk about the heat tiles in particular. This is because Elon Musk recently went back on the Joe Rogan Experience and he talked in depth about the heat shield and the heat tiles on Starship and why solving this issue will really put us one step closer to full and rapid reusability. So, Flight 8 of Starship is composed of Super Heavy Booster 15 and Ship 34. This is the second time that we've seen a Block 2 upper stage in action. We know what happened the first time with Ship 33 in the RUD, or Rapid Unscheduled Disassembly, or Explosion, basically. So hopefully this Block 2 upper stage actually has a chance to shine this time around. And that's because there were some key objectives that weren't even attempted, of course, on the last launch because, well, it died and exploded and rip. So what are we looking for on this flight? Well, we are, of course, looking for another booster catch back at the launch site. So we're hoping that Super Heavy Booster 15 will return and be caught by the launch tower's chopstick arms after separation. And this is something that we've already seen in flights 5 and 7. So if SpaceX nails this, this will be the third catch ever of a booster. Now, we also want to have Ship 34 have a successful payload deployment, and the goal is to deploy 4 Starlink simulators testing satellite deployment for the first time. We're also planning to see another relight of one Raptor engine in space. SpaceX has already done that, but this is important to retest because this is what we need to have orbital capability. And of course, let's talk about the re-entry test for Ship 34. This will stress test the ship's heat shield, which does have fewer tiles, new metallic tile options, and flap redesigns to improve re-entry durability. Which, by the way, I should add that the mishap investigation actually remains open after Flight 7. So the FAA let us know that after completing the required and comprehensive safety review, the FAA determined the SpaceX Starship vehicle can return to flight operations while the investigation into the January 16th Starship Flight 7 mishap remains open. The FAA is overseeing the SpaceX-led investigation. So basically, the FAA issued a license modification authorizing the SpaceX Starship Flight 8 launch. So just to clarify that the mishap investigation remains open, but luckily the FAA is giving this modification so that SpaceX can continue to do these tests and get us closer to full and rapid reusability. So the flight plan for this next flight, Flight 8, is still that suborbital trajectory, not reaching orbit yet. But hopefully they'll be able to do it on the next flight. And Ship 34 will be splashing down in the Indian Ocean west of Australia. So what are the upgrades from Flight 7? Well, there have been fixes for harmonic vibration and propellant leaks that doomed Ship 33. There's also new vents and a nitrogen purge system in the attic area to prevent fires. SpaceX also tested a very long 60-second static fire of Ship 34 on February 11th. And so recently, like I said, Joe Rogan just dropped this Elon Musk interview and really kind of picks his brain about these heat tiles and why they've been so problematic and what Elon thinks that SpaceX can do to solve the problem.
Like what comes after this?
I mean, the fundamental breakthrough we're aiming for at SpaceX is a fully and rapidly reusable orbital rocket where both stages are fully and rapidly reusable.
So what has to improve in order to make it reusable?
Like, we're pretty close to being able to rapidly reuse the booster for Starship. That's why, it comes back and gets caught by the arms, and then the arms place it back in the launch mount. We have a little bit of engine damage. We got a little bit of heat shield damage. There's tweaks that are needed, but we're pretty close to achieving full and rapid reusability of the booster. I think we'll achieve reusability of the ship this year, and I think we'll achieve rapid reusability of the whole stack ship and booster next year. This is the fundamental breakthrough required for life to become multiplanetary.
And what needs to improve in order to make it reusable? Like what's wrong with it right now?
On the ship side, the toughest problem is the heat shield. So no one has ever developed a fully reusable orbital heat shield. Because when you come in from orbital velocity, you come in like a flaming meteor, like you're just a raging ball of fire, and it's hard to have a heat shield that doesn't partially melt or get destroyed in that process. That wasn't a problem we were able to solve with Falcon 9. That's why the upper stage it burns up on reentry. With Starship, the ship portion, you got the booster and you got the ship. We got to solve making a fully reusable orbital heat shield, a problem that has never been solved before. For a while there, I was like, I'm not sure this is solvable. At this point, I think it is solvable. It requires detailed iteration on the heat shield tiles. And I mean, we've vertically integrated the manufacturing of the heat shield tiles because there was no supplier that could provide us with the materials that were needed. You need to make essentially this very fine vermicelli of glass and aluminum oxide fibers. Aluminum oxide is basically sapphire. So it's like glass and sapphire, very fine fibers in exactly the right geometry with special coatings in order to have this heat shield tile be reusable, like not melt, but not be so brittle that it gets damaged on ascent or descent. It's kind of like almost the brittleness of a coffee cup type of thing. And the rocket's shaking like hell. So you got this thing like, you saw it firsthand. Like, imagine you're at ground zero of that rocket. Like, you feel how much shaking it was when you're like 5 miles away. Imagine if you're right there, So you're shaking these things that are like as brittle as a coffee cup, trying not to have them crack or break, and then not have them melt. You've got several thousand of these things, and if even a few of them break, it's not reusable.
So is there innovation that's being done in the materials technology at SpaceX where you're constantly trying to find and tweak a better version of this?
Yes. It's a very difficult problem. It's a problem no one has ever solved. So we've got to get the exact right materials combination, the right molecules in the right shape, and then apply that heat shield perfectly to the rocket with no mistakes. There's a reason that no one solved this before. It's a very difficult problem. And like I said, we've had to vertically integrate the entire manufacturing of the tile from basic raw materials to a finished tile. Build the entire supply chain from basic raw materials. So you're just inputting silicon and aluminum oxides.
And what is the difference between the way you guys do it versus the way they used to do it for the space shuttle?
I mean, the space shuttle, like the space shuttle leading edge, used quite dense carbon tiles. Like it was, they're like basically thick and heavy, but also subject to cracking. The full technical explanation would I think be understood by about 6 people listening to this. There was a lot of brilliant engineering in the space shuttle tiles, and a bunch of the heat shielding wasn't even tiles. It was actually silica blankets, felt blankets essentially. If you look closely, you'll see it actually is. They're actually heat blankets, not tiles in some areas. But they would have cracked tiles, and they would have occasionally the tiles would fall off. There were a few close calls where tiles fell off, but they weren't in a super vulnerable position on the space shuttle. So, but it would take them several months, like 8-9 months, to refurbish a space shuttle between each flight. So it was not reusable, really, and it certainly wasn't rapid. Like I said, a very hard problem. You've got to have you've also got to attach the tiles in a way that it enables the structure underneath to move, to expand and contract. Even though you've got these very rigid tiles, the tanks, which take on cryogenic propellant, will contract when you put in the cryogenic propellant, but then when you come in and you get very hot, they will expand. So now you're contracting and expanding the gap between these rigid tiles.
By how much?
It varies depending on where you are on the vehicle. So if you're in the cryogenic tank section, I mean, you can see like a 10-20% difference in the gap.
Really?
It's pretty significant. Yeah, it's enough that you can't just put all the tiles. You can't just jam the tiles together. If you put them if you actually butted them up, they would all crack because there's too much movement. There's also some amount of body bending. So as the ship is like ascending, when the engines steer, there's a little bit of movement. And so if the tiles are too close together, they'll essentially just crack and snap.
Like how
you have to have a gap.
Like how planes.
Yeah,
wings,
like plane wing will move.
Yeah.
Plane body will move too.
Wow. And
So
how?
you have to have some gap, but if you have too much of a gap, then the heat gets to the gets past the tile and melts the structure.
Holy!
It's a hard problem.
You can't like 3D print the whole thing. You can't have one structure. It has to be
No.
tiles because it has to have that ability to move.
Well, there's no 3D printer that's. I mean, the biggest ones are like maybe 3 feet. There's no. You can't 3D print it. You have to have something that can move.
Right.
It has to be able to flex. You're putting in liquid oxygen, which is like minus 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Actually, we subcool it to minus 330 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's very cold, and then it will be several hundred degrees, maybe 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit potentially when on reentry. So you get this huge temperature swing. So the thermal expansion is substantial, and you got thermal expansion and contraction combined with body bending. So you have to take the worst case body bending and thermal expansion contraction. This was a very hard problem.
So I hope that you enjoyed watching. Yeah, I think so. And we are allegedly live. So hopefully people can see us. Let us know if you can see us, and more importantly, if you can hear us, because I have shifted from my B-roll and filler video. Can you guys just let me know, someone in the comments, if you can see us and hear us? That would be very much appreciated, so that I can stop looking at the computer. Their camera is up. Australia checking in. It's time. Can you guys hear us? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. 5x5. I see you. We hear you. All right. So we are here for Flight 8 of Starship. I cannot believe that it's already Flight 8.
What? So it just seems like it snuck up on us. I mean, we were just here about a month and a half ago or so.
January 16th.
Yeah.
I did not think that we'd be coming back so soon, but here we are. And a lot of people want to know, is it still going? And as of right now, it looks like it is.
It seems like it is. They've already passed the 1 hour, 15-minute prop load poll. That seems to have gone on really well. They're already doing the preparations for the cryogenics. So we see the tower vent going. So that's another great sign. The weather is a little bit of a question mark here.
It's very windy, as it always is, but something very interesting happened not too long ago. So I was in my hotel room and I noticed the power kept going on and off, on and off. The lights were going on and off. And then apparently Tim Dodd, everyday astronaut, was also having a problem where he was. So the power kind of went out all over South Padre Island. We found out it was because this weather balloon that some people
It's actually called an aerostat.
Some people say weather balloon, some people say spy balloon, the aerostat balloon, I guess, snapped off of its tether?
Yeah, they have this big aerostat or balloon that's over South Padre Island all the time. They have a large cable that keeps it in position. And I don't know, it was too foggy to tell from our point of view if they were trying to bring it down or what, but the cable snapped and it kind of flew along towards the north on South Padre Island. I guess that cable was dragging over the power line.
Yeah, so that is why there was a temporary power outage, but we've never seen that happen.
No, it's definitely new. A good thing is it didn't affect the operations at Starbase, because that's on a completely different system.
Yes. So there is some news, and it's also pretty. I mean, it's pretty dead down here as far as fans and people coming in. I think the fact that it's a Monday and the fact that we already had a slip, seems like very quiet out here. So
there were a lot more people here a couple of days ago, but they all said they had to leave because of the slip.
Because of work, real people obligations. But let me know where you guys are checking in from, and let's see. It looks like muffled audio, wrong mic. Is there any way to listen to the audio? It's okay? Okay, well, sorry, guys. It's hard to see all of this all at once.
Well, I'll speak a little bit.
Yeah,
Does
go
it
ahead.
Sound better? Let us know in the comments. We're going to try a few other things here to make sure that the audio is a little bit better for everybody. Hopefully
there we
the
go.
video
Watch
is
this.
okay.
Okay, wait, guys. I think we just solved the problem. This is why we like to go live ahead of time, so that we can troubleshoot things and not be embarrassed. So I hope that you guys were able to hear any of what we were just saying.
Well, let's see.
Let me
I'll talk a
know.
little
Okay,
and,
now it's good,
let us know.
apparently.
Okay.
That's better. There. Okay, so
All right.
do we need to repeat everything that we just said?
Sure.
LOL.
I'll just do a recap. We passed the 1 hour, 15-minute point for the prop loading poll. That has happened. They are doing the preparation for the cryogenics. The tower vent is going. The tank farm is going, which is great. The next big milestone is at 45 minutes prior to takeoff, and that's when the prop load will begin. Weather is a watch item right now. We're hearing that maybe a 50% chance of launch. So we're going to be watching that. It's not
very good odds.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, we've seen Falcon 9s go at 20%.
Yeah.
So, but
it is clearing up a lot.
it is.
Like right now. It's
I don't know if we have
all day.
have a shot from
Should we do a
our
switcher?
cameras
Yeah, let's
down towards the
switch.
launch site. But
Nothing-
it's
well,
a little
we
bit
wanna-
foggy
we
right
wanna
now
show it. We wanna show
between
it foggy.
us
Yeah, there we
and
go.
the site.
Great.
But there's has been a
No
cloud.
Joe Mike. It says we can't hear Joe.
Oh,
No
okay.
Joe Mike. But we are showing you guys.
Joe's mic.
Test,
No.
test, test.
Joe's mic's out.
How about now? Anything?
This is why we go now to figure it out. So apparently we're still having some audio issues.
Test, test, test. Test, test.
You know what? I think that I'm gonna play it in my headphones, and
Okay.
that way I can hear just.
So I'm going to say something here and let me know in the comments if it's coming through okay. Joe's mic is fine. So it says my mic is fine. Is it
I'm just
Ellie's?
gonna. I have people saying that the audio is really bad.
Well,
Okay.
okay. Test, test, test. Yep. We got audio here.
This is why we're doing it now.
All right.
I mean, I can boost the volume level, but it's going to go crackly.
Okay.
Hold
Y'all
on.
get excited.
All right.
Try that.
All right. Well, hopefully this is good, and we'll just continue talking, let you know what's going on. Like I said, 50% chance right now for the launch. I've heard some potential that we might have a slight slip, maybe 11 minutes. No reason why, but that's something that we'll keep watching for as time goes on. And as I was mentioning, the clouds of the ceiling above us used to be pretty dense, but now it's breaking. I can see some patches of blue sky. Hopefully that'll continue for the next hour for the launch.
Okay. It says that it's connected to my. Sorry, I'm just.
Okay.
I'm trying to do this so that I can. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is why we do everything early. Huh?
Okay.
It's good. Okay.
All right.
Oh, are you gonna listen for me to make sure? Okay, cool.
All right. Can you hear me?
I appreciate that because it's very hard to talk to people and also troubleshoot at the same time.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I am going to have my phone out just so that we can read comments because I don't want to keep
Right.
turning around and going back and forth. So anyway, I don't know if you guys heard the story about the aerostat
Right.
that caused a temporary power outage, but that happened maybe, an hour ago.
Roughly,
And
yeah.
so it's been an interesting day, windy here as always, but we are here for Flight 8 and we're really hoping that it goes because unexpectedly, SpaceX was ready sooner than I thought that they would be, and
Right.
certainly than the FAA would allow. Now, the mishap investigation, by the way, for the last flight, Flight 7, which many of you remember the spectacular explosion of Ship 33, that mishap investigation is still open currently. However, the FAA made a license modification, or basically an exemption,
Right.
so that SpaceX could go today because they really need to fly as much as possible. There's still so many things that they wanted to do with Ship 33 that unfortunately they didn't even get close to
Right.
trying out. And so we're hoping that we see that first Starlink simulator or dummy Starlink test today, the first test of a payload deployment. Before, the payload was the data. Elon
Right.
said it many times, the payload's the data, not this time,
Yes.
hopefully.
Well, it's not just the Starlink dummy or simulators that we want to see and how the PEZ dispenser works and the door, but they're doing a lot of other tests too. Probably the most important has to do with the design of the ship, the new aerodynamic flaps on the nose, how those perform, and maybe even more important than that is the heat shield.
Right.
That is the last of the major items that they need to solve, be able to, so they can do the rapid reusability.
Well, and as Elon pointed out in his recent Joe Rogan interview, a problem that no one has ever truly solved.
Right.
And so he talked really in depth. That was actually the video that I put out this morning. Some clips from that interview basically talking about how hard it is to make a fully and rapidly reusable heat shield.
Right.
And so, obviously on this flight, they have less heat tiles than we've seen in the past. They have some strategic experiments and hopefully it survives.
Right. Well, not only have they got some of the heat shield tiles removed along the sides of the ship, similar to what we saw with Ship 31, we saw that there was some warpage on the sides of the ship. So we're going to watch and see how that goes today. But they're also experimenting with different kinds of tiles. They have some metallic tiles. They have some cooled tiles that are being tested on the ship. And it was also being tested on Ship 33, which sadly never got a chance to demonstrate. how that works.
Rip.
Yeah, but they also have other things that are doing too. They've upgraded the avionics on both the booster and the ship considerably. Better communications, better batteries. They've also, we didn't see this on Ship 33, but just like Ship 33, they have a lot more cameras on board, both inside and outside. And there is the possibility, if we can get the Starlink simulators to be deployed, that we might actually see some camera footage from them.
Which would be awesome. I really hope that they do that. I'm still wondering whatever happened to that banana.
Well, the banana was actually for Flight 6.
I know.
So, whether
I'm
or not
still thinking about it.
It probably got roasted.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are back to a one shot. By the way, this live stream is powered by Starlink, and as you can see in the banner, super chats are appreciated. Who's going to be the first person to break the ice and leave us a super chat? You guys, this is my full-time job. I quit my job as a TV news anchor in 2022 to do this. So super chats are appreciated. And this is what, our second launch of this year so far for Starship.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. This is a kind of another almost anniversary for you too. What happened 2 years ago?
Well, on March 5th, I broke my femur. So it's 2 years ago in 2023. So got some anniversaries coming up.
Yeah.
And, I'm curious to see, actually, I brought this up on X, but I didn't really talk about it on camera. But if you watched the last launch, I had sort of a negative reaction as the booster was being caught. And I felt like kind of pain and tingly feeling in my leg for the first time where my rod is. And I've never had any problems
and you
with
say that was from the sonic boom because
from the sonic boom is my theory. However, we'll be able to test today.
Yeah.
Was it a fluke thing, or is there actually this sort of, we know that Starship had problems with the harmonic resonance, the vibration. So perhaps this is also happening in my leg. Not exactly sure. That's something that I'm...
So are you saying you and Ship 33 are related?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I got a lot of titanium in my leg, man. But I'm very curious and a little bit anxious to see how that goes. But anyway, that's a personal note. And oh my gosh, Scott Carr, thank you. Oh, we got our first super chat of the stream. Thank you so much. I got your back. You are literally behind me. So you do have my back. If you guys love these t-shirt designs, we have the Mechazilla. So this is the sequel to the Mechazilla shirt that so many of you guys ordered, absolutely love. And this one features what we should maybe even see on Flight 9, which is a catch of the ship. So we have the ship as well as the booster in the Mechazilla tower. And Scott and his team can be thanked for those wonderful designs, and you can order them. So I will put a link in the description. In fact, let me do that right now. Joe, why don't you?
Well, actually, a good thing just to talk about is, for Flight 9, the next flight, if this flight goes well, we might see that first catch attempt of the ship. So for this flight, they're doing some tests that are related to that. One of which is they have a non-structural catch pin on either side of the ship that has been added, and they have some heat shield tiles around it. The purpose for this flight is to test and see how does it survive during the ascent and also through the re-entry, make sure that those designs can actually survive the flight profile and be in a position to allow a catch. And another interesting thing about that design is it's different than what we see with the current booster being caught on the first launch tower. And there's a lot of speculation, but I think it's pretty clear that the catch pins that are being tested and hopefully will be used in the next flight are designed for the second tower specifically. And that may be related to the fact that SpaceX has decided to try to use two towers for the time when both the booster and the ship comes back. That way we can kind of deconflict having a booster on one and a ship on another. But this flight is very important for that decision, just for the whole profile, to make sure that it can go through every test and have that safe landing in the Indian Ocean, but also to make sure that the catch pins survive in the design that they're testing, so that we can maybe see that catch next year, next time.
It is actually starting to clear up here, but it is still so hard to make out Starbase. By the way, I want to thank Peter for making the first super chat on this live stream. Thank you, Peter, for the super chat. Love the little emoji that you have here. And then Rudy, thank you for the very generous super chat. Thank you guys for getting things rolling, because we'll be up here for quite some time.
Yes.
And we are still And thank you, Bill, as well for a super chat. Thank you guys so much. It's interesting today. This is the first time that SpaceX has actually had a Starship launch at 5:30. So they used to have them at 7 a.m. Then they moved it to like 4:30, and this is the latest one.
Right.
And maybe we're edging into that night launch territory.
We're getting a little bit closer, but we're also getting later into the year, so the sun is staying out later.
Yep.
So that's a good thing. I think that they're trying to maximize the light over the Indian Ocean, so that they can get good visuals of the ship coming back. Speaking of the ship, we are within about a minute or so, if everything is still proceeding on time, to begin propellant loading onto the ship. And for the next 5 or 6 minutes, they'll go from the ship to the booster, and then we should start seeing those frost lines rising on both. And that would be a great indication that we are on track. As I mentioned, there may be a little slip in the launch. I'm going to try to monitor that off screen here in just a second. But right now, looking pretty good.
Yeah, why don't you check on that? And I will also thank Pastor Brad Johnson for a super chat. Thank you for joining us on this Monday, as well as Tesla owners Silicon Valley, which I'm so bummed that you can't be here, but hopefully you're able to come to Flight 9. And, you know, I'm not exactly sure how soon Flight 9 will be. I'm actually going out of the country for most of April, so we'll see. I may have to miss that one, but let us see here what we are looking like. Is there anything fun to show on the other cameras? I mean, we can show people that it's still, yeah, there we go. So this is the view right now of Starbase, and you'll see it in a second here. It is very foggy still, so it's starting to lift a little bit where I'm standing, and you know, I'm about 6 miles away from the pad for reference, but it is still we may just only hear it and not really see it. And you know what, it wouldn't be the first time that that's happened to me. But I don't know, we may just hear it, we may not. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
People were saying, would the fog prevent SpaceX from going? I think no, because they've already caught the booster twice now. They're really focused on the ship for this performance. And so as long as they can, you know, launch without problems with the wind or something, I think they're going to go.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just the fog itself isn't an issue. It's more like winds, or if it's an electrostatic clouds or something that might cause that kind of issue. But I think they have got pretty good cameras, good sensors, both on the tower and the ship. And right now, just keep in mind, we are looking through a lot of the atmosphere that has a lot of moisture in it. So that's what's obscuring our view. But as you get closer to the actual launch tower, it will clear up to some degree. And I think that will work in their favor. This is my speculation, but if I were SpaceX, knowing that we've already caught the booster a couple of times, we've kind of demonstrated that. As important as it is, and they do want to do it again right now, the more important thing is to get the ship on its way, get it into that suborbital trajectory, do the tests with the dummy satellites, do that Raptor relight, and then get that re-entry. So that is what is more important to them. And I think they're going to try to press ahead to get those completed.
Right. As much as, you know, we want this just to be a show and entertainment for us, it's really
No,
not.
this is a big deal. I mean, I don't want to overstate things, but for SpaceX, this is a big launch. They really need to have a good success with it because they have some big plans coming up, and everything is based on what they have learned from the previous flights.
Well, and I feel like what happened with Flight 7 was just so unexpected.
Well, it was, because we were kind of used to seeing the ships do pretty well. But as we talked about before, and I will remind everybody again now, this is, well, the first group of the first next generation ships, the second generation ships. And although they look similar, there is a lot of changes inside, specifically with the plumbing for the methane that goes down to the engine compartment. And that's, you know, that new design is possibly what was a contributing factor to what happened to Ship 33. I think they learned a lot from that. Obviously, they went through a long static fire. They were testing different operating regimes of the engines, trying to avoid that what they call the harmonic resonance, which could be either something that has to do with a flow of the fuel to the engines, which causes the engines to fluctuate, which then causes more of that fuel to fluctuate, which causes more of that with the engines. or it could have also been maybe harmonics in the pipes themselves, and then they basically broke welds, and they mentioned that the harmonics were much higher than they've seen on previous missions. And as I mentioned, this is a different design, so you know, we got to keep that in mind.
You know, the last flight was the debut of Starship V2, and obviously that didn't go so well. So hopefully today we actually get to see V2 perform. And speaking of different versions, Raptor 3 engines also should be making a debut
sometime in the
ish.
Yeah, I would say maybe next year, maybe late this year.
Okay.
I think. Okay. This is just my guess, but I think that they have a lot of the Raptor 2s made, so they're going to try to use those as they continue with the development program Raptor 3.
Well, I want to shout out some more super chats. Thank you to Charles for tuning in. Josh King, who's been a member for 12 months. Godspeed, Ship 34 and Booster 15, as well as Ross. Best of luck to SpaceX. Hoping for a flawless flight. I am too. Keith, thank you for the super chat as well. My money is on mission success. Okay, I pray that they work out the issues with the heat shield. That is the key to full and rapid reusability. Absolutely. I hope that they do too. And I think that they have a good shot. Right. Manuel, also, thank you. Hi, Ellie. You make SpaceX launches more fun. So awesome. That's good to know. Thank you for the super chat. Same with Brooks Johnson. Thank you so much for the super chat. Have a great launch today. Ellie, Joe, and team, go away, fog, and Godspeed, Flight 8.
Right.
So it looks like actually the fog is starting to dissipate.
Yep, and we're going to get about 15 more minutes before the launch. It is now at 5:45 Central Time, 23:45 UTC, and the prop load for the ship has started.
Yeah, and so does it still look foggy as ever?
Yeah,
Probably.
It is. From our perspective, we still see kind of a fog or mist between us and the orbital launch site.
Is a big bummer because we have the same like high-powered Hollywood level cameras, and unfortunately the fog is just what it is.
Well, it is at the ground level, but I would point out something. Look up that way.
Yeah,
we actually see some blue sky and thinning of the clouds in the direction that the ship and booster should go. So that's encouraging.
But our live cam right now is not all that impressive.
Right.
It's still a little bit rough down here. And, you know, the weather can be pretty brutal down here. I mean, it is kind of like always windy.
Well, it is windy. You know, we've had some good clarity because of temperatures and so forth, but we're entering that time period for the next few months that fog is going to be pretty possible here. So, you know, whenever the next launch after this is going to be, if it's say maybe late March, early April, something like that, it's a chance that we're going to see some more fog.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll continue to do the afternoon flights, and if we're getting lucky, maybe a couple more after that, we'll see a night flight, which is something I really would like to see.
Oh my gosh, me too. Which, by the way, I will also be taking a trip to Florida very soon, March 11th. I'm going to be covering the Crew 10 launch live. I got NASA press credentials for that. So I will be bringing you coverage from that as well. And hopefully it's really exciting because this is, you know, sort of the final puzzle piece to getting Butch and Sunny home.
Yeah.
Of course, their ride is already up at the ISS, but they need Crew 10 to get there so that they can make the crew rotation, do the short handover period, and then get the heck back down here.
Yeah, I bet that they're ready to come home.
Yeah, I would think so too. It's been, you know, by the time they come home, it'll be over 250 days in space.
Yeah, but you know what? From the standpoint of being an astronaut, you go on a flight that you think they're going to be there for a couple of weeks, and you end up like in Sunny's point, she gets to be the commander of the ISS again. She gets to do some spacewalks, and I think, you know, I mean, if that's going to be her last flight as an astronaut, she went off with a lot of things to do.
Absolutely. Which, oh my gosh, look at this.
Wow.
Absolutely generous $200 super chat. Watching the future unfold. Thanks for the great coverage. Thank you for joining us. And you know, there's so many amazing streams. Obviously, SpaceX first and foremost, and NSF and Everyday Astronaut. A lot of people are streaming. So the fact that you would come to our stream really means a lot to me. Yeah. We have been together basically for every single launch, even virtually for one of them, which was the first booster catch, Flight 5. So I think we make a pretty good team.
Well, I'm having a lot of fun, and I enjoy you having me on here. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been quite the wild ride, from being on crutches during the first launch and having May and Kimball Musk up here, and to where we are now. And so every launch is different, and you know, hopefully we get that third booster catch today.
I hope so. I hope so. Well, you know, For a timeline, just expectation management is as soon as it launches, the timer is going really quickly. About a minute after launch, they're going to be at max Q. It's about 2.5 minutes. They'll be preparing for the hot staging. Between 3 and 3.5 minutes or something like that, it'll be the boost back burn. And then by about 6.5 minutes to almost 7 minutes, it should be hanging on the chopstick. It's going to be really quick.
Yeah, and well, we're going to hear it.
Yes.
And thank you, Bimmer Gazer, for another very generous super chat. Miss Ellie in space and Joe, anxious for blast off. Good luck, SpaceX. Yeah, it's really interesting, you know, having it on a Monday. It's like the least busy I've seen it.
Yeah, well, I agree with that.
It really is interesting.
But you know, there's another couple of things that's happened over the last 24 hours, which is kind of a first for its kind. One is that it wasn't until yesterday late morning that they moved the ship from the production site down the road, and then they full stacked it last night, and now they're just within another half hour, 45 minutes from launching.
Right.
That is by far the fastest that has ever happened.
And I think people should also remember that this is the first time they haven't done a wet dress rehearsal.
That is
which
true.
is very notable.
Yeah, I think that may contribute a little bit to people being a little uncertain about what, are they going to come down here or not? Because normally they're used to seeing that.
Exactly.
And then they say everything's good to go. And then they go into that process of getting the cryogenics and all that. So people come out here.
Yeah.
This time they just went right through that.
Right.
And I think that's actually a good sign. I think it's the comfort level that SpaceX has with their stage 0, the booster and the ship, especially after that prolonged testing campaign that they had. So, this is a good sign, I think, in a maturation process of the Starship program. So,
oh my gosh,
cool to see.
It's still, I'm gonna play this. So Joe took this video that I'm about to show you so Joe took this yesterday, and SpaceX shared a photo that you're actually in, but you should see it here. So you took this video. Tell me about it.
Well, it was actually kind of funny. I knew that they were going to move the ship, so I went out there early. I got set up, and I was walking. I parked closer to the launch site, and then I walked all the way back so that I could follow the ship as it went on the road. And as I was getting closer to the ship, just about ready to come out of the production site, I was talking to the sheriff there, and he said, "Yeah, why don't you go over onto the grass area by the factory?" And I said, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Yeah, just go over there. It'll be great." And so, based on his recommendation, I walked over to the grass right by the glass of the Star Factory. The ship went right by me. I was actually making the video that you're seeing, and the SpaceX drone was flying, kind of ironically, right above us, and they took that shot, and I'm in that picture.
That is so cool, and I just love this video. I was lucky to see, up close and personal like this in 2022, but the video that I have is from a live stream, so it's very pixelated.
Okay.
This is not pixelated.
Yeah.
It's very nice to have this. Oh my gosh, and another super chat. Hello, Austin Lady from Ricker. Thank you for the super chat, and please interview Gwen Shotwell and ride with Gwen Shotwell to test Falcon launch emergency exit slide. How cool would that be? However, I will say I've put in multiple requests. I don't think she likes to do interviews.
Well,
that's my consensus.
Hopefully that'll change. And if you haven't gone down a tower slide, that's actually pretty cool. That's something I have done.
Why?
Well, when I was a squadron commander up at Altus Air Force Base, I had the 97th Operations Support Squadron, and that included the tower for air traffic control. And they do testing for emergency evacuation, and they use the slide just like that. So I got a chance to do it.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Someone is asking, is this still live? Yes,
is very
it is
live.
Very live. Very much live. Okay, and so let's see. We are about 30 minutes away from the 60-minute launch window. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, 5:45, like I said. So it's about a 15-minute slip.
Okay.
So,
but the launch window is also longer this time.
It is
so
an
for the
hour
past
long. Yep.
few, it's been 30 minutes. This time they have an hour, but a little bit less now.
Yeah, part of me wants them to launch earlier because we're going to have sunset somewhere around just after 6:30, and it's going to start getting dark out here. On the other hand, it might be kind of cool to see it as it's lighter, or the light goes away, and we get more towards that night kind of takeoff. But I'm really, I mean, even though the fog at the ground level is a little bit obscuring the view from us, I'm really kind of happy about what we're seeing off to the east with the thin clouds and some of the blue. So considering the conditions that we have, I think this is looking about as promising as possible.
Well, Ford man Mark just super chatted and said, "What is Joe's favorite model Porsche?" Porsche.
Porsche. Okay.
Porsche or Porsche?
Porsche. So two
Why do
civil
people
words.
say Porsche?
Because they don't know.
Okay. What's your favorite Porsche?
I don't know. I like them all, but I think the one that when I was a kid I wanted to have the most and I was finally able to get is a 930 called a 911 Turbo. The very first one had the wide fender flares, air-cooled engine, single turbo, very raw, but pretty cool.
Wow, all of that was gibberish to me.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. Our viewers will know. Okay, well that's your answer there. What's your favorite rocket? Is it Starship?
My favorite rocket of all time?
Mine is Starship.
For right now, I'm still going to say the Saturn V because it actually got us to the moon. The Starship is cool. It has a lot of potential, and I'm really excited about its future, but it hasn't had a chance to prove itself yet.
Oh, it
But
will.
I hope it will, and I hope that we start seeing us do a lot of operations out of the Earth's atmosphere, everything from orbiting refueling depots that really allows us to go farther to hopefully seeing people on the moon and, of course, Mars. And from what we understand, if Elon gets his way and if Starship development continues on a pretty good path, maybe at the end of next year, they might give it a shot.
Now, I will say it looks like it does look pixelated. I don't know if that's on my end. Hopefully, we are using Starlink again, so hopefully it's not too pixelated for you guys. Let me take a look here. It looks a little bit. Oh, it's not so bad. Okay, so maybe it is just my phone. Okay, good. Sorry. So let's see. That is just such incredible video. It is so cool to be close up. It's interesting. It looks pixelated on my phone, but it doesn't look as pixelated. Go back to the one.
You won't see there.
Yeah.
So that's pre. This is post,
Got
but
it.
you're also
Right.
you're watching based upon what we're receiving here, which is also Starlink.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say. It's Starlink. It is.
SpaceX has a lot of Starlink, so that.
Yeah, it is. It's so tough, and that's the reason. One of the reasons we stream up here from Margaritaville, because I don't think that we'd have any luck at the beach.
Well, I don't know. I
Maybe.
mean, my Mini, I can do it with a battery power, and I've used it all over the place.
You streamed with it? That's the question. Give it a shot, but if it doesn't work, that's a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, thank you to Margaritaville for once again letting us use the roof here for an incredible view.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very kind to us. They allow us to have this nice space, great view of the launch site, and I don't know. It's just kind of become a tradition for us to come down here, and really do appreciate Margaritaville for allowing us to do this.
Yeah, everyone says that it looks really pixelated.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can fix
We'll check
that.
and look and see what we can find out about the pixelation. One question is are you connected to my Starlink or yours? We actually do have two different Starlinks.
I'm on mine.
Okay. So we have the main one, and then we have my Mini, and I'm using that for some of the other data off screen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to fix it.
I don't know. Well, we're within 45 minutes of the new TO, and prop load should be coming in very, very soon. As I mentioned before, they start with the ship, and then they work on the booster, and then that runs for about 41 minutes, bringing us down to just a few minutes before launch. So that should be underway very soon, assuming that we are on that 5:45 launch time. And of course, with that 15-minute slip, that gives us about 45 minutes to a window after that, 5:45. So still plenty of time for them to work out any issues as necessary. And if they need to slip some more, they have that time, which is very good. Now, as far as the conditions, again, still looking across the channel towards the orbital launch site, and the fog is still there. But every once in a while, it clears up just a bit. One of the encouraging things, besides the blue sky off to the east, is that You can see the sun coming through some of the clouds and making the scene a lot brighter. So hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah, people are still saying that it's pixelated. So we're doing our best. I don't really know what to do to fix it. I wonder if we were able to just be plugged in. I don't know. We'll have to troubleshoot.
I don't know.
But it is a bummer because we do have really good cameras, which in the past it's always been my iPhone. Yeah. So anyway, but it does look like the conditions are getting clearer out here. It still looks pretty foggy. It's still very hard to even make out the towers. So might be tough. Might be tough. Oh, it does look a little bit better now. Looks better. Okay. Yeah, so that's a view of what we're seeing, which is not much still. But we have some time to kill. And where are we at?
Well, they are, the OLM vent is still going, which means that they are not actually putting propellant into the ship or the booster quite yet, or at least we're right in that cusp. It's usually about 41 minutes and a few seconds ahead of launch when that begins. And so for 5:45, we are like right at that time.
Yeah, okay. And they're fast.
They've been doing really some significant upgrades of the orbital launch site, the cryogenic farm, with some of these gigantic pumps, and they've upgraded the ones that were there before, but they've been also adding a lot more, some of which is for the new tower. Yeah, I think that they want to try to get that propellant loading down as fast as possible. Part of it is because of flexibility for your schedule and launch and everything, but also the faster you can get it onto the ship and the closer to the actual launch time, the less you lose from boil off.
And in the meantime, we do have some time if you guys have questions to ask. So I'm reading the comments.
Okay.
And Ross just says SpaceX have propellant load time. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible how fast they are. But what is the temperature there? Let me look it up for you right now. The temperature is 69 degrees. That's pretty meme-worthy. 69 degrees. It is windy. Let's see exactly how windy it is. My phone says that visibility is 10 miles. Humidity is 93%. And let's see, wind gusts up to 27 miles per hour.
Yeah,
so
for
69 degrees here on South Padre Island.
This is public math, but for our international viewers, it's probably around 17, 18 degrees Celsius, and the wind gusts are probably around 35 kilometers per hour or so.
Yeah, so honestly, I mean, I feel like it's been windier before. It's not terrible.
Yeah, well, don't jinx us, but it's actually not bad right now.
Yeah,
it was worse earlier today, but it has died down to some. That's kind of consistent with what we were seeing with the forecast winds. And, you know, as we mentioned before, it's not just winds at the ground that is an issue. Here it is because of the catch. So that's something that they're watching. But they also watch winds at altitude. And the last winds at altitude forecast that I saw showed that the winds were not bad at all. There was a small directional shear at about 18,000 feet, which is about 5.5 kilometers. But that really didn't seem like it was an issue at all. But I will try to answer questions if anybody has any. You can have almost any subject on the rockets or whatever you'd like, and I'll try.
Someone said that I should take out my hair clip to show how windy it really is, and it's like I'm already like struggling with my.
Isn't that one of those things you take it off is easy, but getting it back on is hard?
Yeah, no, it's definitely. Should have cut my bangs before this trip, but that's okay. Well. We made it here, and tomorrow we are planning on going back out to Starbase. So hopefully we're able to get some interesting content and updates on the post-launch coverage.
Yeah, well, hopefully everything goes well. You know, we were mentioning earlier that the ship is the more important thing from SpaceX's point of view to get all that data, but you know, having that booster back and back on the OLM would be really cool to be able to see. Okay. Well, the venting of the tower and the OLM has stopped, which is a great indication because that means that instead of putting it off board while they're cooling all the pipes and everything, they are now putting that propellant into the ship. And that's very consistent with the timeline, so that's a very good sign.
Absolutely. Still can't see it from where we are.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay.
I still think looking off to the east, the clouds as they are thinning and blue sky, that's a really great sign. Hopefully, at least through that portion, the hot staging on the way back, we'll be able to get some good views with the cameras that we have.
And I did see on the Elon Jet account on Mastodon that he did arrive about, I don't know, an hour ago.
Okay.
So he's here. He was in DC and now he's here. I wonder if he's alone.
I don't know. It's just too bad he doesn't get a chance to travel much, you know?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so this is, you know, we're just almost half hour, just a little bit more before the launch. So it's getting kind of exciting. It's hard to see off camera, but people are walking on the beach heading to the south.
Yeah.
That's where the Isla Blanca Park is, which is a great place to watch a launch. You know, one of the good things about not having a huge amount of people today is that getting in and out of Isla Blanca Park should be a lot easier.
We'll see, because we're able to see the traffic on the causeway. So sometimes it can take hours to get out of the parking lot over there, like literally 3 hours or so.
Yeah.
You know, so it can be rough, but it seems pretty empty.
Yeah.
Pretty empty.
But you know, as far as space stuff going, it's not just the Starship launch, but we've actually had some pretty cool events going on with the moon lately. Is on Sunday morning, Firefly, which is based here in Austin, Texas. They have their development facilities up at Briggs. They landed their Blue Ghost, you know, a smooth landing, very successful onto the moon. And I just saw just a few hours ago, Intuitive Machines, which is also based here in Texas over at Houston, has entered into lunar orbit, and they should be trying to do their landing on the 6th of March, so just a few days away. So if you're really into space, this is a great time to be alive, because we have a lot of these commercial missions that are going back to the moon. We have obviously the Starship development, and we've seen other development like with the New Glenn with Blue Origin, and we're seeing some pretty cool stuff from Stoke Space as well.
Yep. And thank you, David, for the super chat. I'm not exactly sure until Starlink gets, I'm not exactly sure what this comment means, but thank you for super chatting anyway.
As soon as Starlink. Oh, I think he's saying when it gets the full constellation.
Oh, okay. 40,000 satellites. Yeah. Okay, and it looks like SpaceX has also just started their stream.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if we're able to start showing the SpaceX feed, but if that would be something you want to show. But they actually, from their camera views, it looks like they've got some pretty good visibility around the tower, which is very good to see. But they're showing 34 minutes until the launch, and that's pretty consistent with that 5:45. So far looking really good. And we're right now about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so into that prop loading for the ship and the booster. That'll continue all the way down to about the 3 to 2 minute point. In between that, at about 19 minutes and 40 seconds, we should start seeing the Raptor chill. And that's a very important thing to do, because they'll run some of that cryogenic fluid through the turbines and the systems of the rocket engines to make sure that they're cooled down, so that you don't get this shock effect of having super cool cryogenic fluids going into an ambient temperature rocket. The rocket mechanicals and the pipes, because that would cause some serious problems. So that's going to be starting up here in about 15 minutes or so.
And people still are asking what the temperature is. It's 69 degrees, so that's kind of funny. Why is it funny? I'm not going to explain it to you. David, thank you for another super chat. And people are asking, what t-shirt is this? So go up there and show them. This is the Mechazilla t-shirt. And this is actually the sequel. So we have a ship catch as well as a booster catch in this design, which is coming soon in real life. So it says twin brothers in Japanese. And so it's a very fun shirt. In fact, a lot of people on the roof right now are wearing my design, which is awesome. So I pinned that in the comments, and I think it's probably as good of a time as ever to run to the restroom really quickly.
Okay.
Okay. Let me leave this here.
All right.
It's still hot, but I'll be right back.
All right. So is it just me? Okay. That sounds good. I don't have access to the chats, or at least I guess I can look over here. But please, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll just kind of run down where we're at right now. Oh, here's another one of her shirts that just is coming out. No Days Off, Mission to Mars. It's got the Starship with some of the heat tiles as well. So pretty cool to see that new design. And here's one more. It's got the new version 3 of the Raptor, and got some other of the designs around on the back of the shirt. So it's looking pretty cool. To go on to Ellie's shop and purchase that. That'll help her channel out, and I know that means a lot to her. Just to take a look here, thank you very much for the super chat. What brought Joe to stand next to the ship as it traveled down the roadway? Were special permissions needed, and what timeline did they go? So it's actually open to the public to go out and watch the starships being moved down the highway. They usually have a procession that has some of the sheriffs that are keeping some of the people off to the side or behind it. Then they have the guy running the SBMTs, and they kind of drive it out there. You can normally just follow along with that starship. But for me, it was kind of funny as I was walking over to where all the people were, and the starship started moving, and the sheriff said, "Hey, just go over onto the grass area by the factory." And I asked him, "Are you sure that's okay?" And he said, "Yeah." So I was standing there, and I was making a film of the starship going down the road at the time, and they had the SpaceX drone, and they got the picture, which is pretty cool. But as far as special permissions, not really. If you know, one of the unique things about Starbase and what's going on with the Starship program is that it's very open to the public. You're able to come out. There's no tours per se. It's mostly self-guided, but you can get up close and see what's going at the production site. You can see some of the actual hardware that's going to be flying. You can go out to the orbital launch site, see where the towers are, and you can get up pretty close, which is very unique for any place around the Earth when it comes to active rockets. Certainly you won't see that anywhere else. I would also remind everybody, if you get a chance to come to Starbase, or you're thinking about coming to Starbase, I do it as soon as you can. As this program continues to develop and mature, you never know how much longer they're going to have this access available. So thank you very much for that super chat and for that question. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Bill's asking, he says it looks breezy though. It is right now. Winds have been a watch item for the Starship. We're getting somewhere between 20, 25 mile per hour winds with gusts, but so far that seems to be within their limits. They're at least pressing forward for the launch. The propellants loading for the ship and the booster is well underway. And as far as we know right now, they are continuing to proceed through the countdown, and hopefully we'll see a launch here in just about, it looks like maybe just under 30 minutes, which is pretty great to think about. If for some reason they aren't able to go, the fact that they are loading propellant right now means that if they were to scrub later today, it's probably going to be at least Wednesday before they can go again. So hopefully we won't have that problem, and they'll be able to launch, and then we're going to get a chance to see that departure going off to the east. Hopefully a good hot staging, the booster coming back, and it is right now planned to be caught. And the ship is going to continue on. They're going to do that demonstration with the Starlink satellite demos, the kind of the dummy ones that they're going to put out, and we're going to see how that works with the payload bay, the Pez dispenser, and maybe we'll even see some cameras on there. We'll get kind of almost like drone views of the ship, which I think would be pretty cool. And then they're going to continue on with that, hopefully successful reentry and soft landing in the Indian Ocean. And of course, if all that goes well, Flight 9 is going to be really special because we might see that ship come back for a catch. And I'm really hoping that we get a great flight today so that that is actually a possibility. Let's see. Thank you very much, Samshi Pilot, for the super chat. Appreciate that. See if there's any other questions. And somebody's saying Starship can hold up to 15 minutes if possible. I think they can actually hold more than that. The design of the Starship is much more flexible than it is with the Falcon 9. If they get to that planned hold point, which we've seen for 3 seconds, they should be able to sustain that for quite some time. They can continue to replenish the cryogenics through that period of time. I hope that we don't have that today. I hope they just go right through that point. And then at about 30 seconds is where the launch director would give us that go or no go, and then continue on for that launch. As far as timelines, I've mentioned it before, but just expectation, as soon as the launch happens, they'll be going through the maximum dynamic pressure, which is just after going supersonic. And then about 2.5 minutes, we're already ready for the hot staging and the separation, the boost back, and of course the ship hopefully will have all 6 of its engines lit, and it will continue on its route of flight. And of course the booster, just under maybe about 6.5 minutes to 6 minutes 50 seconds, should already be back at the launch tower and hopefully caught. Between the start of the boost back and the end of the boost back, they look at all of the various conditions, the variables, and the health of the booster. That is when they make the decision of whether or not they go to an offshore divert or if they go back to the launch tower for the catch. So that's going to happen in a very short period of time. Shortly after the boost back burn is ended, they will separate the hot staging ring, and it will free fall back almost on a very similar trajectory to the booster, but it will start getting its lateral separation from that booster. And it actually lands in the Gulf just a few miles offshore from the launch tower. And in the last flight, when we were watching for the catch, the interesting thing is after the ship, after the booster had been caught and was on the chopsticks, I actually was able to hear the hot staging ring hitting the water. It was very distinct. So, that's what we're going to be looking at in a very short period of time. So under 7 minutes launch to catch. So that's going to go quickly. As far as the ship is concerned, as long as everything goes well and it gets up to engine cutoff, that's just after 8 minutes. And then at about the 17-minute point, that's when the demo for the Starship, the Starlink satellites will be made. And that'll proceed mostly over the eastern part of Atlantic, over the south tip of Africa. And then after that, we'll start seeing the Raptor burn and then the re-entry. So here you go.
Well, Joe, people are still super chatting, so I think I'm going to leave now.
Oh, no.
You're doing a great job in your own.
There were a lot of great super chats and a lot of great questions as well. So hopefully I was able to answer some of your questions. Yeah, I was looking at your screen here.
All right. Well, we are getting closer and closer. And thank you to Astro Van Tuckett, a very generous super chat as well. Thank you for my equipment fund. So yes, I'm going to have to figure out what to do when we don't have these amazing cameras with us all the time. But right now, what you're seeing is SpaceX's feed, actually.
Actually, I'm very jealous of SpaceX right now because you're seeing drone shots, and they are spectacular, flying around the booster and the tower, getting a great shot, at least from their perspective, of all of the ground fog from the cryogenics. And I just love those views. And I personally, I just want to say thank you for the SpaceX drone team for doing such a great job.
Yes, it said that they'd rather this. They'd rather see us because it's my live stream, our live stream. But they do have a better view currently. Yeah. So, geez, I still really can't see. I can kind of make out the towers. It's still a little tough out here. So
we still have about 25 minutes or so. So hopefully Mother Nature will clear that out just in time.
Just in the nick of time. So yeah, there was a question for you. Did he already get to that?
I'm not sure.
There was a question. Oh, what brought Joe?
Yes, I did get to that one.
Got it. Okay. Good. Well, thank you. See, you're perfect. You're great at this.
I don't know.
Me.
I'm just a drone pilot. What do I know?
Hey, someday I might need you to be my remote reporter. Would you be up for that?
Sure.
Because I'd like to have a kid someday. So
okay.
Would you be my in the field reporter?
Sure. I'll be the live streamer and you'll be asking me questions.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I'd come
cool.
from the desk with my baby Bjorn. I'm telling you guys, get ready.
You're going to name your baby Bjorn?
No, baby Bjorn. It's like the front little thing that you wrap it in.
All right.
No, I'm not going to name my baby Bjorn. Joe, what the hell? That's the second ridiculous thing you've said today. The first one.
Hey, we've had a lot of fun up here today.
I can't even share the first one. It's not safe for work. Oh, it's so funny, too, because you're such a
You know, keep it straight, innocent guy. When
Thank you.
say things that are NSFW, it's a little.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh! Name your baby Bjork. Oh, it's great. Will you guys be simulcasting both your and SpaceX's feed through the catch attempt? So what we did last time is we used our cameras. Well, not my camera personally, but Scott Balkum's camera. So he has the red digital cinema camera. That's what we used last time. So we will be using that and not SpaceX's feed, because last time we had people say that our tracking was better than anyone else's. It's just a matter of if you're able to see it. So no, Scott won't be here forever, unfortunately, with us. But while we have him,
as far as providing camera service.
Yes. Well,
I'm moving to Alaska.
can you imagine if I was just that
This guy's
nonchalant?
not going to be here with
You're
us
not going to
anymore.
be here that long.
Bye,
Whatever.
everyone.
Oh God. Okay, we're having too much fun up here.
Well, I have a question for you,
Super
Scott.
chat Ellie to save us.
Yeah, how does the conditions here? What do you think about your cameras, and what are we going to be able to see?
So I'll be able to get footage of it. The problem we're going to have is contrast. We have no contrast, and you can tell by when we go to just a tight shot of it. You could barely make it out. There's so much atmosphere here. Our visibility is 2 miles, and we're punching through at 7. So it's going to be tough. Now, when it lights up, we're going to see a little bit more. It's when do I lose it, and when can I no longer see it? I mean, who knows? We'll do the best we can. I don't control the weather. I'm working on it, but yeah.
Now, do you do the tracking, or do you have a system?
No, I'm manually doing it.
He's manually tracking, and it was incredible last launch.
I use lots of practice, and then I also use the technical abilities of the cameras, the global shutter. Shooting and a high shutter speed allows me to track it in post and even stabilize it further. There's a lot of tricks that we use to keep it stable as best we can.
And so tell the camera nerds what you're working with today, what we're working with.
We've got a Red V-Raptor Super 35 shooting at 8K, and we'll be either at 96 frames a second or 120 frames a second. Just depends on how much contrast there is, because I want to keep it at about a 90-degree shutter for camera nerds. Next to that, we've got a Komodo X shooting at 6K. We'll be shooting at 72 frames a second. And then we have a red Komodo Blue. It's a blue Komodo. It's literally Balkum blue. It's kind of funny. It's going to be shooting 5K at 48 frames a second. And it's at 100 millimeters. The Komodo X is at 400 millimeters. And then the V-Raptor Super 35 is shooting at 1,000 millimeters. And then we also have a Nikon Z8. And we're also doing 7 microphones this time, various microphones shooting, recording at various levels and capabilities, so we can get hopefully the best audio possible, because I don't know if we're going to get the best video possible today. We're going to certainly try, but it's being recorded in super high resolution, 192 kilohertz.
Did they say why? Did they say
rate,
why?
and then 32-bit audio, 32-bit float audio. So it's a lot there.
Which before you, I only had this, and it was terrible.
I mean, you shoot with what you got. The best camera in the world is the one you have in your hand. I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
Well, the viewers and I are eternally grateful for your very professional and very talented manual tracking. So
I think this is fun. This is what I like to do for a living.
that's the answer to the question, is that he will be doing manual tracking. So yes.
Well, there you
It's a
go.
long-winded answer to that question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we very much appreciate it, and I know the viewers do as well.
Yep.
And we'll let you get back in your zone, because we are getting closer.
Okay, a little bit of update. We're right now at the point where they will be starting the Raptor chill. So that's a good sign. They're continuing with the propellants loading on the ship and the booster, which is what we would expect. We are hearing that the potential for a hold at 40 seconds is being discussed. I don't know if they're working a specific issue. I can't really confirm what that is, but they have mentioned that we might get to 40 seconds and go to a hold. And that kind of goes into the discussion we had a little bit earlier. Somebody asked about that. How long can they hold? I think that they can pretty much hold and replenish the cryogenics for quite some time after that. We have 45 minutes in the window left after the 5:45 target time. So they have pretty good amount of time to hold there. But if we do see that hold, we should not be surprised. It just seems like that's the plan for right now.
Wow, and man, it is still very rough, our view from here, which I can't imagine it's even much better for all the folks at Isla Blanca Park, about a mile closer than us. So we'll see, but
well,
at least
the closer you are, the less atmosphere that gets in the way, so they might have a better view.
Maybe. But is it clear? I don't know. Yeah, there's our view. As you can see, that is our camera angle on screen, and it's
a little bit gray.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it was.
You can almost tell that there's some towers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now we're just under 18 minutes until the launch. That would be also close to the time where they get that hold. So we'll keep going. But I think that they're going to try. I call it improving your position. They're going to try to improve their position as much as possible to have everything ready to go, so that if the conditions are right and they say let's go, everything is already taken care of. But.
And there they have some previous video of the Starlink powering just views all over the place. Starlink is what's keeping us connected right now. Starlink also powering the amazing views that we've seen on every Starship launch.
Right. You know what's ironic is, you see those views, that's probably what's going to be like in the Indian Ocean. I think the visibility will be great. If you look at the satellite weather here, just offshore of the Gulf here, it actually is cleared up. So it's only right here where we're at where we're seeing all these clouds.
Yeah, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say one time I flew when I was living in Portland all the way to Orlando for a Falcon Heavy, and it was fogged out.
By the way, just looking at the SpaceX feed right now, I just want to show you, this is some awesome drone shots that they're doing, flying across the water, coming up to that full stack. I actually did something similar here about 1.5 years ago when it was still perfectly legal to do that. But the shots that you're getting here are just amazing. And looks like they're also doing some other demonstration here of some of the automation that they have in the construction of the Starship.
That's interesting too. Like, people are still walking over, but some people are just camped out right here. They want to watch it just on the sand and not actually walk all the way to Isla Blanca Park. I don't know.
Just off screen, what we're talking about is the beach kind of runs from Ellie's right to the left down to the south, and there's a lot of people walking on the beach heading to the south for that viewing. Also, just a little bit farther to our left here, there's a whole bunch of people that are gathering on top of a roof of another hotel, and they're all getting ready for the launch as well. So if you do come out here, Isla Blanca Park is a great place, but there's other opportunities to view as well.
I mean, many hotel balconies. Just make sure that your room has a view of the launch pad. And that wind is...
Yeah, the wind is kicking up a little bit. The temperature is dropping just a tad, as well as the sun is getting low in the sky. And but we are getting... we're about 15 minutes away, hopefully, for the launch.
And folks are still watching. Thank you, Brian, for the super chat. Thanks for the coverage. Wish we were there in person. Maybe next time, Brian and Kathy. Hey, there's going to be a lot more Starship launches, so I'm sure that you will have many opportunities this year to come down. And, will they really try to catch the ship on Flight 9? I'm a little skeptical.
Well, you were skeptical after Flight 4 whether or not they were going to try.
And then I was in Paris and they caught the booster.
Right, exactly.
So maybe they will, but what do you think?
It sounds like a wishy-washy answer, but it really depends on this flight. They need to have a good success, particularly with the ship all the way through its flight profile. This is a new design of a ship, so they are testing its aerodynamic surfaces, the heat shield, all that stuff. But they also need to be able to verify that this design can get to a precise location, just like the previous ones, because they need to have that capability to assure that they can come back and try to be caught with the tower. One other thing, I don't know if we've kind of talked about this, but when they do a ship catch, whether it's the next flight or one after that, the cadence out here is going to be very different. What do I mean by that is Right now, when it launches, the booster comes back in about 7 minutes, and the ship goes somewhere else. So we don't have to worry about anything coming back. And the booster goes off to the east, and it comes back from the east. When that time comes for the ship to be caught, it has to go into orbital trajectory, and it needs to orbit the Earth probably a few times. It depends on how that orbital path works out. The Earth is also spinning, so as it's spinning, Starbase is getting out of the location it would be at when it comes back around. So it's going to be at the order of hours probably before the ship comes back.
Wow.
And that's going to be very different than what we experience right now.
We might need to take a break for that live stream.
Maybe.
I don't know if we can stay up here that long. Let's see. Robert wants to know, is there anything in the ship? Well, we do have the 4 dummy Starlink satellites that they are hoping to do a payload deployment test. So yes, there is actually something other than data as the payload for this one.
I wonder if they're going to have a 0G indicator inside the ship too.
And it looks like our camera shot is getting slightly better.
Right.
As SpaceX nerd Tom points out, Scott's shot is getting better, may help Ellie stream. We sure hope so.
I hope so. Well, me, with just my eyes, I can see the very tops of both towers, which is encouraging.
Actually, it looks better. So come on, you got like 10 minutes. Come on, Mother Nature, figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we're just under 12 minutes for the launch time at 5:45, so that's encouraging. If you've just joined the stream, we are expecting the potential for a 40-second hold, but we will see if the countdown continues through that or not. But yeah, I like the SpaceX feed, and the shots from the drone is just very dramatic right now.
So Joe wants to know, are we on top of the hotel? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And this hotel is 12 floors, so because they're asking how many
Technically, we're on the roof, and it's got 12 floors for rooms, and then we're on the roof.
Right.
So,
which people are not allowed to come up here, even if you stay here as a guest. So that's been something that has not been well understood, I guess. But unfortunately, this is only for media. But some of the other hotels do let you go on the roof, but there's also great views from the balcony as well.
Right. If you happen to get a room that's south facing, on many of the hotels around here, specifically the ones down on the south, you will have a great view of the launch site. And it's not just here on South Padre Island. There are also other areas over at Port Isabel, which is near here, that has some pretty good views as well.
Yeah. And let me just ask one question really.
Yep. And just watching where we're at, it looks like we're at about 10 minutes to launch. Fuel and propellant is being loaded on both the ship and the booster. That is continuing. They've got about 7 more minutes of that propellant loading until the ship and booster are full. And then they'll go into a period of time where they can do some of the top off as we continue the last few minutes of the countdown. And of course, we'll be watching for that 40-second point, particularly today, based on what we are hearing. But the cloud bank keeps rolling in and out. It looks like it's more dense right towards the ground. Every once in a while, we can see the top of the towers. Looking off to the east in the direction that the full stack would be going, there are a few smaller patches of blue, some thin clouds, but it looks like it's filling in a little bit more than what we saw about 40 minutes ago.
And I just shared as well, you know, SpaceX's views right now, which are just incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, look at this.
Right, and that's a good infographic on the left-hand side of that screen. They show you the current situation with the booster and the ship tanks and where they are as far as their fuel levels or their propellant levels.
Wow.
And nice views across
they have some really good views.
Well, you know, you would expect them to have really great views. And, you know, I'm looking forward. Hopefully we'll get some great views on the ascent up from the booster and maybe the ship. And I really hope we get into orbit and we see some great views from there. And hopefully those dummy satellites have cameras. I just hope they do.
Yeah. It's funny calling them dummies.
Yeah, well, simulated. How's that?
Dummy.
Yeah.
Hope you have a camera dummy.
You know, that was another thing I got a chance to see here about a day and a half ago. Late at night, they were putting the Starlink simulators into the ship.
Wow.
And right now, it's not really a well-refined process. It's kind of a rig that they kind of attach to the side of the ship. They hold it up with some wires, and then they use a crane to bring in those simulators. So that is certainly not the mature satellite loading system that they're going to eventually have. But you know, some people ask, why are they only doing 4 of the simulated ones this time, whereas last time they were doing 10? And I don't know, but my guess is that they were really hoping that that would have been done on the last flight, and they wouldn't need those. So for this one, they're just doing the minimum amount necessary to be able to prove that the Pez dispenser works, the door works, that they're able to eject
I hope
them.
they can do it. I hope.
I hope so.
I so hope.
Well, we're about 7.5 minutes. So about 5 more minutes, roughly, of propellant loading, and we're definitely getting close to the launch. So I'm hoping we're able to share with you a launch today. Other than the fog, it's actually, and there's a little bit of the clouds, it's really not that bad. So hopefully they'll be able to do this.
All right. Wow. That's
Are there any other
crazy.
questions?
7 minutes out. That's nuts.
So it's getting really, really close.
I just love these views from SpaceX, but we will be going to our cameras as soon as it's closer to go time.
And what we might see is just if the engine's light and it starts lifting off, we'll just see like this glowing orange ball in the cloud bank.
I mean, it's starting to get clearer.
I'd say the horizontal visibility is about 4.5 miles right now.
It kind of feels chilly, even though it's not that cold.
Yeah.
It's that dang wind.
Yeah. But it's kind of funny on the live stream from SpaceX. You see Dan Hout on there along with Kate. I met up with Dan yesterday at the rollout of the Starship just before they started rolling out. And I asked him if he was ready, and he was like, heck yeah, we're launching the biggest freaking rocket in the world. So, I mean, he was really pumped for it. So I'm really hoping for him and everybody else that works at SpaceX that they get this successful launch. There's a few people I know on the heat shield tile team. I know that they're really excited about showing what they can do and seeing how their heat shields go. So I hope that they get a chance to demonstrate that today.
Absolutely. And we are just minutes away. Kind of hard to believe.
Getting about 5.5 minutes away. So a little more than 2 minutes of propellant loading, and we're at the last few minutes of the launch countdown.
Crazy. I thought that what happened in Flight 7 would hold them up longer, but I was wrong.
Well, it could be, you know, a variety of reasons, but it looks like at least the FAA is getting more comfortable with prototype launches and how that cadence works. One other thing, I guess, just sort of gee whiz information to look forward as the engine's light for the takeoff. If you look at the bottom lower half of the screen from the SpaceX feed, they'll show you the engine diagram. And what you're going to see is they actually light them in 3 segments. The first is the inner 13. Shortly after that, outer 15, and then shorter after, just a little bit after that, the last of the 5. So it's like 3 different ignition sequences. And when you're out here, again, if you come out to visit Starbase and they're just before a launch and you can get so close, you can actually hear them testing those igniters on the ground. And they were doing that a couple of days ago.
And I also think some people were also asking, just in general, is it going orbital this launch? It's still that suborbital trajectory. So not yet.
Right. They want to make sure that it's got a free return trajectory and a designated location as they make sure that the ship, the new design, its controllability, and just the way it operates is good enough for them to be able to say, hey, we can go ahead and go to orbital. Because once you go to orbital, if you don't have the ability to do the deorbit burn, then it will start coming back in a completely uncontrolled manner in a place and location that you aren't expecting. So they want to make sure that the ship is mature enough before they go to that next step.
Yep. So, and this could be the flight to prove it.
I think this is the flight to prove it.
Hopefully.
You know, again, I don't want to overemphasize it, but I think this is a really important flight for SpaceX, for the development of the Starship program. And, you know, another thing that's coming up very soon, we're going to be getting the confirmation hearing for a new NASA administrator. There's a lot of discussion about
for Jared Isaacman, by the way.
I would say soon.
Okay.
TM soon. I don't
Okay.
know if there's a date, but you know, there's a lot of talk about NASA maybe refocusing their priorities, their missions, what they want to do, and you know, commercial space such as Starship is going to play a role in that. So it's really important for this mission to go well.
Okay, and I'm just waiting until, you know,
Just
it's
under
time
3 minutes.
to switch our cameras
Okay.
here.
Well, we are very close to the point where the booster and the ship are full of their propellant. So we should start seeing that wrapping up very, very soon. I know a lot of people are getting excited. I'm getting excited about the fact that we may see another launch here in just about 2 minutes. And I just hope that the fog just clears just in time.
Yeah, I'm like, should I just go? I wonder what I should do here.
If you want to switch over to our views here in about 30 seconds, that
Yeah,
might
30
be good.
seconds. Okay. By the way, Joshua, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Ellie, for all things Elon the past couple years. I'm so proud of you and for you. Thank you
Oh, that's
for
very good.
watching my channel. It's been a wild ride.
I don't know if you guys realize just the amount of work that Ellie puts into her channel and getting all the content, particularly all of the special interest ones where you go out and interview a lot of really interesting people. That is something I think that really differentiates what you see with Ellie than a lot of other people. So, you know, I say thank you too, because you get a chance to see a lot behind the scenes that most people don't see.
I try to bring unique coverage that you're not going to see anywhere else. And that usually means that I'm networking and reaching out to people and getting interviews with people like Elon Musk. So
Very cool.
it's pretty cool.
Well, on the SpaceX feed, they just showed a really quick shot from a drone that is, it looks like it's about 1,000 to 1,500 feet above the tower. So we may get some pretty dramatic video from that drone here very soon.
And thank you, Paul, for the super chat. We are so close. And let's see, we are
1 minute,
about
10
a
seconds.
minute. Okay.
So we'll find out here
And
in about,
be a hold,
there may be a
not
hold
be
at
a
40
hold.
seconds. We'll find out. We'll find out.
And so why would we have a hold at 40 seconds?
It could be anything that they are going to
holding.
hold it 40 seconds. So it could be a technical issue with the ship. It could be something that they are looking for weather. It could be some other reason. I'm not sure.
Right.
So let's see. We're at 40 seconds and we are holding. Okay, so they are troubleshooting something on the ship.
Like that word in this context.
Well, now, you know, we talked earlier about how long can they hold at 40 seconds. So they have about
Oh my God.
45 minutes to work it out.
Okay, well, you know, I think it'll still go, and maybe it'll clear up
well,
just enough for us.
All right, well, SpaceX just posted and they say it's final checks. So I'm going to be optimistic on that. We've talked about how important this flight is. So I think SpaceX is double checking everything, and they want to make sure that this is ready to go so that they can get a successful mission. So I'm sure that they're looking at a lot of data, a lot of sensors, health of the ship, and just making sure that they're ready to go. So
Let's see.
So it could be, you know, a minute long. It could be 30 minutes long. We just don't know. But
Team using this time for final checks.
Yeah.
So.
But as I mentioned before, this is actually one of the built-in capabilities of Starship that differentiates it from a lot of other ships, especially like the Falcon 9. As Falcon 9, if it gets to this point and they go to a hold, it's pretty much not going to go. But as for the Starship, they have that capability, which gives them a lot more flexibility with the launch cadence.
Well, and we have some super chats flooding in. So while we're waiting, thank you, Ronald, for the super chat. Thank you for all your efforts, Ellie, and of course to Joe as well. SpaceX nerd Tom, thank you as well for the super chat. Great show, Ellie, Joe, Scott, crew, and mods. Hopefully this is our last suborbital flight. I'm thinking it could be, even though we have this hold. I'm hopeful. Hope to meet you two down there for longer than 2 seconds next time. Well, you know we'll be back. So just let us know who you are, and we love meeting people down here.
We do, and you know, one of the neat things is we get a chance to meet a lot of people. but there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's really hard to be able to spend a lot of time with everybody. But I really enjoy that. It's just amazing to me where people come from all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, seriously, and it's starting to almost get a little brighter here. So
It's
been fluctuating.
It's looking, at least as far as weather, about as promising as it has most of the day.
Yeah. Okay, and so we are just
holding,
just waiting. Apparently, this is the first time that they've held since Flight 2.
Was it Flight 2 or Flight 1?
Apparently, Flight 2.
Oh, is it? Okay. I know that they have done this before. That particular one was not for very long. And I think it had to do with some of the vents or the valves.
So it's been a while since
it's always been a valve,
since they've done this.
But this is why they get a long window for that launch. They're able to do that because this doesn't have a mission where they're having to rendezvous with something like, say, an ISS, or that they have to get a satellite in a specific orbit at a specific time. So that gives them that flexibility for this longer window. And you know, we're going to get a chance to see how their troubleshooting goes, and hopefully they're able to resolve whatever issue they are having. And you know, I'm encouraged by the weather here, and it's trying to cooperate.
Which, by the way, Derek points out, help Ellie get to 200K subscribers. I am so close at 192,000. So yes, please share the stream and subscribe to Ellie in Space if you're not already subscribed. It's free. Why would you not?
You know what's crazy is when we came here for IFT1, you were in the 60,000.
Yeah.
And you were hoping that you could get a few thousand.
I've been grinding.
Yeah.
I've been working. No, thank you to everyone who watches my channel. It's crazy to see what it's become, and hopefully it gets even bigger. But yeah, we're getting.
Well,
cool.
With all of the developments coming on in this. We're still holding at 40 seconds. Okay, we're back. Okay. I think we have a battery issue, so we're working through that right now. In a way, it's kind of good we have the hold, and we're not in the middle of, there's the rocket, and we go off screen. Okay, we're going to be off for just a second, and we do a battery swap.
Okay. Okay, can you see us? Are we good? Okay, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, this wasn't a few stressful things back to back. Seems like we had to replace the battery. I think we should be good on the camera. Thanks for not leaving. But we had the hold lifted, and now we have the hold again.
Yeah. It was kind of ironic. Right when we're switching over the battery, the countdown continued down to about 38, 37 seconds. And we're like, oh no.
Oh, that was stressful.
And then they stopped it back.
They said that they held because our camera wasn't ready.
Oh, that's what it is?
That'd be
Okay,
nice.
they said Alien Space's
That'd be
camera
nice.
stopped, so we need to hold. What we are hearing is that there were 2 issues. One of them is on the booster that seems to be resolved. They're still working a problem on the ship, and we might only have a few minutes for them to work that. If they can't resolve it, then we might end up not having a flight today. So we'll see what SpaceX tells us. Just based on the fact that they've done a full prop load, if they do not fly today and they do a detanking, I think we're looking at a couple-day delay. But that's not happening yet.
Are you hearing anything else? Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. All right. Well, people are still super chatting, so
Yeah,
thank
well,
you for
that's cool.
super chatting. Gas money for the sheriff. Well, I drive a Tesla, so I'll use that for other things. But thank you for the super chat from Ford Man Mark.
Superchargers.
And then Ricker as well. Please add a merch item of a Euro-style Starship beer mug with Ellie and Elon faces in bottom. Okay, or coffee
right.
mug, just spitballing. I like that idea. Why not? We will see if we can arrange that. And let's see. It looks like we're still on that hold. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
All right. It looks like they've resolved the issue with the ship, so we should be
so
seeing that.
stressful. Oh my god.
What?
What?
Oh, is it scrubbed? Oh no. Well, I guess we got some conflicting information, but it looks like they're scrubbing. And the funny thing is that the weather has completely cleared in the direction of flight if they had gone. But
No, it's not. There's no.
it looks like
Tell
it
me
is a
it's not
scrub.
true.
It is true. I'm sorry. We have a scrub.
No, dude. What the heck? Well, let's. Oh, are you serious?
Well, we need to call SpaceX and say, Ellie says we got to go.
Let's make sure. I just want to make sure before we have to tear down all of this.
Yes.
What does it say? Where?
Just some information. But yeah, it looks like there was a problem with the ship they were unable to resolve. And considering the fact that this is an important launch and that it's the new generation of the ship, that's not surprising. So I would think that we're going to have to see what SpaceX says, and we'll find out when they're going to try next.
No. Wait, no, but let me make clear to people, they can't go tomorrow. That is not what people are saying.
It looks like it's going to be a couple day.
Yeah, because like they need at least what you said, 48 hours?
I would think Wednesday would be the earliest.
Yeah.
Now, at least the positive of that is Wednesday's weather is looking pretty decent. Oh, really? Well, we'll see. I'm basing that on previous experience with the cryogenics and all that. So we shall see. But the SpaceX live stream is now ending. We got within 40 seconds, so we get to do this again.
Stop.
All right.
Scott, how long did it take you to settle this up?
Not way too long. We were here at 10:30.
I feel so bad for them. Wow.
Blue skies covered up. We got blue
And of
skies.
course, like now the weather is finally getting
Yeah,
nice.
it would have been great.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my gosh. This is what it's like to cover rocket launches. There are delays, there are scrubs, there are things last second. There's even fog. Maybe you make it to the launch and you still can't even see the damn thing. So it is a stressful game to play.
it is. But this is the first scrub since Flight 1.
Yeah, and that actually worked out in our favor.
So maybe this is a good sign.
maybe. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. Well, shall we wrap up?
I guess so. Thanks to everyone for watching, and we will be here. So please join us for the next one.
And we'll try to tell you when that is when we find out.
Oh my gosh. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Oh man, what a bummer.